So when you hear people talk about South Florida real estate, they usually say it like it's one single thing. But I'm here to tell you right now that couldn't be further from the truth. We are not looking at one market. We're looking at three totally distinct markets, and each one is telling a very different story as we close out the first quarter of 2026. Let's get into it.
And this idea, it's absolutely crucial to understanding everything that's happening right now. You've got Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. And yeah, they're all moving in the same general direction. But, and this is a big but, they're moving at wildly different speeds. That gap between them, it's getting wider, and that changes everything.
So here's where a lot of people get tripped up. On April 17th, Miami realtors dropped their latest data, and all the headlines screamed about positive sales growth across the Tri-County area. And, technically that's true, but that one simple headline is incredibly misleading. If you just stop there, you'd miss the entire story.
I mean, just look at this chart. It tells you everything. Sure, all three bars are positive, but you can't tell me these numbers are telling the same story. Miami-Dade is up a solid 6.6%. Broward is barely up, just 1.4%. And then you have Palm Beach just exploding, up almost 13%. These are three completely different markets with three very different things going on.
All right, let's start our deep dive in Miami-Dade County. On the surface, things look pretty solid. Total sales are up 6.6% from last year, which marks 7 straight months of growth. But the most important change, the real story here, isn't in the sales numbers. It's all about supply.
This number right here, this is the one that really matters. After 2.5 years of watching condo inventory just go up and up and up, that trend has slammed into reverse. Year over year, the number of condos for sale just dropped by over 8%. That's a huge deal.
And make no mistake, this is not a one-month fluke. This is the second month in a row that we've seen a decline. So what does that really mean? It means that buyers' window for condos in Miami-Dade, the one that's been wide open for a couple of years, well, it's starting to narrow, and it's happening fast.
And it's not just condos. Look at what's happening on the single-family side. We started the year in January with 6.4 months of supply. That's a pretty balanced market. By March, we're down to 5.7 months. In just 30 days, the market literally crossed the line from balanced squarely into a seller's market. Oh, and we can't forget about the very top of the market. Sales for properties over $5 million, they surged 27% year over year. The ultra-luxury scene in Miami-Dade is still incredibly strong.
Okay, now let's head a little north to Broward, because this is where the story gets really interesting. And honestly, a bit paradoxical. At first glance, things look fine. Total sales were up 1.4%, which is the first positive month of 2026. But hiding underneath that tiny number, something strange is going on.
And here it is. This is the paradox. On the one hand, single-family home sales are up for the 7th month in a row. Great. But on the other hand, the median price for those homes actually dropped by more than 5.5% compared to last year. Normally, when sales go up and supply goes down, prices go up too. But in Broward, they went the other way. So that begs the question, right? How is that even possible? How can more people be buying homes, but the median price is going down at the same time? I mean, it seems to defy basic economics.
Well, the answer is all about the sales mix. The growth isn't happening at the super high end. It's all concentrated in that mid-tier. Condo sales between $500,000 and $600,000 jumped by almost 20%. All the action is happening in this value segment, and that pulls the overall median price down even while sales are picking up.
And that brings us to our third market, Palm Beach. And let's be really clear about this. Palm Beach isn't just leading the region, it's playing in a completely different league. It's breaking away from the pack. Total sales are up a massive 12.9%.
And just look at this number. Sales for homes over $5 million didn't just rise, they absolutely skyrocketed, up an unbelievable 77.3% compared to last year. That is a staggering amount of capital flowing into the top of that market. This chart pretty much says it all. The total dollar volume of all sales is up nearly 30%. If you look at just single-family homes, that number jumps to over 44%. And while all this money is pouring in, the inventory of homes for sale has just plummeted by over 15%, the biggest drop in all of South Florida.
But here's the really critical part, the trajectory. The inventory isn't just declining. That decline is accelerating. It went from a 3% drop in January to a 10% drop in February to a 15% drop in March. This market isn't just tightening, it's getting tighter at a faster and faster rate every single month.
Okay, so we've looked at a ton of data. But what does all of this actually mean for you, for the decisions you might be trying to make right now? Well, whether you're a seller, a buyer, or an investor, the answer is completely different depending on which county you're in.
So if you're a seller, your leverage is growing fast, especially in the single-family markets in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach. If you're a buyer, that condo window in Miami is definitely getting smaller. And waiting around in Palm Beach means you're losing options by the day. And for investors, the big money is clearly flowing into Palm Beach. But the most interesting opportunities, where the math really works right now, might just be in Broward's mid-tier.
And that brings us right back to where we started. It's one region, but three totally separate markets. The headlines might make them sound similar, but the actual decisions you make on the ground have to be based on these critical underlying differences.
So, to sum it all up, Palm Beach is accelerating into its own stratosphere. In Miami-Dade, the window of opportunity in the condo market is closing, and Broward has become the region's most fascinating value play. You have to know which county you're in and which segment you're playing in within that county.
The full data on all three